What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
And we're coming to you live from a couple of places on the internet. We're live on Crowncast. We're live on YouTube. Coming to you later from Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you're getting your podcast. It's all good. Now, sadly, Pete, our third, is off this week, which, good news, let me do the countdown right there at the top. He gets very upset when I say 3, 2, 1 before we go live.
Oh, yes.
People listening to the podcast don't know this, but it's a real big issue.
Fun behind the scenes for us.
But Pete wasn't here, so I got to do it, which was a huge relief for me because I like counting.
Yeah,
know?
Especially down. Counting up, Alex is lost. Counting down, he nails it every time.
I can't do it. I can't do the count up. But I can always count on Brett Macris, a.k.a. Stray Bullet, a.k.a. the official CBC chef, to deliver a drink every week, sometimes a themed drink. This time we are just working our way through his mezcal, I think is what's going on here, but nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm starting to think a lot of our drinks are based on what he wants. He's thirsty for mezcal, so we're drinking mezcal.
Here's the thing. We're lucky that he recommended this one. This week's cocktail is called the Desert Bird Cocktail, which is mezcal, Campari, a little pineapple juice, a little simple syrup, unless you have pineapple simple syrup or some variation thereof. There's also, what's the other thing in it?
A pinch of salt, lime juice.
Yep, pinch of salt, lime juice. And I had two fun surprises. I went out to my garden. We've been growing mint, so I got some fresh pineapple mint for my drink. That was the first surprise. The second surprise is I found out where all the holes in my garden are coming from.
Rabbits. Raccoons.
No, I live in New York City, so it was a big old rat. There was a big old rat in my backyard. I'll tell you what, it was. This has nothing to do with comic books, but we've been wondering for weeks.
A short rabbit.
Yeah, we've been seeing these enormous holes, and I was like, I think it's rats, and everybody's like, I don't know, why would rats be coming into our garden and digging big holes? And I was like, we live in New York City, it's probably rats. There's nothing else it could be. And then, turns out it was a rat. It was very scared of me. When I came out there, it froze.
That's comforting. That's a comforting part of it. Well, maybe it's a situation where it's like a ratatouille for bar drinks, and
he was also picking the mint.
Yeah,
and he said something.
Tiny podcast where a tiny Brett Macris recommended a tiny Desert Bird
Brett
cocktail.
Brett Ratcris.
Oh, God, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
That is a good time.
It's hot in New York, and I'm sweating, and I'm feeling lightheaded. So, Alex, I hope you're the same.
Oh, it's a little cooler here down here in the basement. Plus, I have the rat is like fanning my feet right now, which is very delightful.
You guys got on pretty well.
We did. We bonded.
You've always said the rats in your life are second from top notch, right under the fans.
Third from top notch, though, are our amazing guests. So I am going to welcome them into the stream. Now, this week they are the creators of It's Monkey Time, which is a new book that's now on Kickstarter. We got the artist here, Phil Avelli, and we're waiting for Gary Dufner, the writer, to come into the stream. But Phil, welcome.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks so much.
Oh my gosh, I like the Judge Dredd shirt.
Yeah, Judge Dredd tee, strong.
Not much for the kids stuff we're selling. That's awesome.
Twin Peaks shirt.
Love that show.
Yeah, I did feel a little bad because usually during my spiel before the show, when another peek behind the curtain here, but when I talk to the guests, I'm like, hey, if you want to curse up a storm, that's fine. But for you guys, I was like, I don't think you should do that.
Normally, no problem. And it's funny because on our show, my buddy, who's also named Alex, it's not you.
Great name.
They're going around.
He's got the swear jar gif on the hair trigger.
Oh wow, lighten it up.
Just to give us crap, you know.
Wow, you guys have gifts on your show. You're way technically
more
apt. All right. That's my main takeaway from that story.
Moving pictures? Wow. We can't even get our voices moving.
For like a 2-second moving picture. Yes.
Nice.
High tech.
Phil, while we're waiting for Gary to come into the stream here to talk about It's Monkey Time, why don't you tell us about the project?
Yeah.
It's very fun, all ages book. It's on Kickstarter now, but how'd you get involved and what's your take on monkeys?
Yeah, so Gary, I'm impartial to monkeys. So Gary and I actually met in college back in the 20th century. And SVA in New York City.
Ah,
In
great.
fact, he was originally from upstate. I'm from the Bronx, Long Island,
Slept
and
very lightly upstate. The
yeah,
closest upstate
Mount
is the
Kisco.
Bronx.
He was Kisco. Hey, there he is.
Hey, there we go. There's
I
Gary.
finally made it in here.
You did it, Gary.
Nice.
You did
Thanks for
it.
having us.
We were just getting into the big issues, talking about Mount Kisco.
Oh, Mount Kisco, New York.
Yeah. Kisco
High
High.
Plains.
Yes.
Origin story.
Origin
Well, yeah.
story.
So you guys met back in college.
Yeah, and Gary actually started the comic strip for our school paper, which is called Canvas, and we it was more of a adult themed thing about a guy who has
Comic strip.
girl problems. He's getting advice from a monkey.
Nice. That
from that
advice
what you
is
will.
probably not super helpful for human relationships, based on the monkeys
No.
I've observed.
But it's
Yeah.
funny for a comic strip.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. So years later, flash forward, and we've done several other projects together. We're working on some other books now, as well, of more serious nature. But Gary's like, dude, we've got to do some kid stuff. I have kids. I always want to do something to give to them that I'm not. Most of the comics I draw have a lot of heads exploding and gunshots and whatever, demons, monsters. So kind of was something I could give to them and not worry. And there's also a lot of stuff in the industry right now that's not, you can't just go to a comic shop and go, here kid, here's a comic. You got to vet it now, which I think is a little
It's true.
I'm not too happy
The more
about
kids
that.
books than comics.
Yeah.
Right.
So so then he decided to take the original comic strip and convert it and try to make it for the kids. And it was
think
fun.
we
We just started
accomplished it.
creating characters and
Yeah.
just riffing and it all just kind of came tumbling out, and we decided to put it together, and it's Monkey Time.
It's monkey time. Is this rooted in either of your lives? Are you drawing on cul-de-sac lifestyle?
Well, in a way, yeah, because I'm a suburban
Little
kid, and
There it is.
Things like there's a scene with a go-kart, and I remember being a kid on Long Island, we were building go-karts and rolling down hills and trying to race each other. We're all finding junk and we're like little rascals, but finding garbage and making go-karts and stuff.
People can remember what the Little Rascals is.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Our gang.
Yeah, our gang.
Well,
we
talking
build
about the
ramps.
gang in the
I
book,
get it.
then, why don't you talk about what the inspiration behind them was? What was important to bring out in terms of all the characters who are interacting with this monkey?
Well, we got here I am. We kind of based the main two characters, like a lot of our stuff, we kind of based on ourselves loosely. Jack, he's the character who with the not so inconspicuous mage looking shirt, is based on Gary, and
Nice.
Max is based on me because I'm always kind of the grump, and Gary's more positive.
I
I guess Judge Dredd translates. Judge Dredd
Kinda.
translates to a "you stink."
Yeah.
t-shirt.
Yes.
Pretty direct.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much. And so we started with there. Whitney is actually based on Gary's sister, so that kind of fits too. There's no real monkey in our lives, but
Metaphorical monkey.
Want to get really deep
Nice.
and metaphorical. The monkey is all of us. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just wanted
Society
to have.
is the monkey.
Well, let's talk about the
Societies.
monkey then. What's important for you, both from the writing perspective and from the art perspective, in terms of crafting the perfect, all ages, in this case, comedic monkey?
Well, we were kind of really riffing on, we're really just kind of going for it and just not really thinking. Like literally, we just wanted to. It was kind of like just playing instruments and just seeing what we come up with, and we just had fun with it. And so, what would happen if this?
That
So
really
we-
comes across in the book, I think, where like it feels like being a kid and where you're like, we have zero plans for an entire day,
Yeah.
and it feels like an
Right.
eternity. So it's like,
Yes.
let's do something weird. And then you encounter these things, and pretty soon you're having this looking back on an epic adventure day that was just kids with nothing to do.
It with nothing to do, and that's kind of what we want to touch on too. Is like so many, not to be, I don't like to be preachy or anything, but like kids are always online, they're always on the phone, and I remember what it was like. Of course, we all remember it was like being a kid and have nothing to do, and you didn't have the internet to turn to or TikTok or whatever.
We were
So what do you do?
bored.
You find a monkey.
The
Or the monkey
original
finds
TikTok.
you.
Yeah, or the monkey finds you. And so we like to have things in the story. So we'll be telling a story, but then we'll take a break and do something silly like how to make a sock puppet.
The activities that we added into the book to go with the story.
And and then we want to do other things too, and it'll meld with the characters as well. Like one of the characters, Ace, is really into magic tricks and building things. So we'll have, when he gets an encounter with somebody and Murray, then they'll be showing his skills and what he can do, and how Murray will learn from them. And Murray doesn't want to be a pet. That's the main gist of the story. He doesn't want to be someone's pet. So they decide, well, what if we're friends? And no one is beholden to anybody. We're all just friends. We're all just hanging out. So I think that's pretty much the big message of the whole thing. It's just friendship.
For sure.
There's going
to be playfulness.
There's going to be villains in the book that want Murray. They want to take him. So we got to.
I mean, if I saw a monkey, I'd want to take the monkey too. So.
Especially when they talk,
right? Exactly.
Yeah,
and this one talks, man. They'll be like, "What? He talks too?"
Talking monkey. You're coming with me, pal.
Man, I would straight up Disney villain out 100%. Now, you have this project up on Kickstarter right now, and I say this in the best sense. You have a pretty conservative goal here, I think. You were looking to get $200. You're currently at $542.
I was trying to keep it. Wanted to keep it low because Phil gets really stressed out.
We did our last Kickstarter was also a modest goal. It was only like, what was it, $1,500 and I'm like, it was my first Kickstarter, to be fair to me.
It's stressful. It's stressful.
And I was like,
work.
It froze. Nothing's happening. What do we do?
It's stressful. It is, because you're like, are we going to make it?
Chill out, relax.
Yeah.
So I think that's partly why Gary made the goal pretty low, but also it's just we want to focus on getting the story out there and not worry about a number so much.
Exactly.
And now it's all gravy. Now you're just taking victory laps.
Well, not exactly. I'm thinking about print costs.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, if somebody does pledge the Kickstarter, then what can they expect as a potential reward based on the level?
Gary, that's your department.
All right. So the first one is the digital download of the comic. It's 27 pages long, and that's $3. The next one is $5, which is the actual physical comic book. And then after that, it's if they want to get me and Phil's signature on the book, that's $20. Since Phil lives in New York and I live in Florida, we have to ship it back and forth before we can ship it out. That's why it costs $20. And then we have the hardcover book, which is $20. And then after that, there's the drawing tier, where you can get a drawing from me of Murray or any of the other characters in the book for $40, or Phil can draw the Murray or any of the characters for $40.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. We didn't want to go too crazy. We wanted to get some stretch goals in there.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I feel like usually people either way overshoot it and they're like, hey, we need $80,000 to produce this one comic.
Yeah.
And in this case, the fact that you're doing okay, here's the base cost of what we actually need so we can reach that. And then if you want these extra things, here's how much it's going to cost. I think that's smart. It makes sense to me.
We're also working on trading cards for the goals that are upcoming.
Nice.
We drew one.
That's cool.
Phil drew one, and I colored it the other day. Inked and colored it the other day. It's right there. It's it's one with Murray and Betty the pig, and they're in a haunted house, and they've got the villain from issue 2 is in the background in a frame.
Yeah.
In a painting.
Fantasy.
Love that. I'm sold on a monkey and a pig teaming up together to solve mysteries. That sounds good
Right?
to me.
That's what I'm talking about.
As far as villains go, a top hat, terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah,
Top
I
hats
agree.
are
Look
Scary
at
hat.
that mustache.
So, how many issues at this point do you have potentially planned out of this?
Well, we have what?
no, go ahead.
1.5
Yeah.
drawn. And we've got more. We have lots of ideas. We just want to
Yeah,
keep
as far
on
as for the story arc
pushing it.
for this thing, we're trying to make it like a story arc because we want to put it together in like a book. Once all the floppies are done, maybe 5, and then we can tell a complete story.
5 issues, you're saying?
Yeah,
4 or
Oh,
5, yeah.
I love that you're working this out right here on the stream. This is great.
Yeah.
This is all about.
Unfortunately,
the
that's
story
kind of how
being-
we
the story
do it.
being, what is that word? I miss.
In progress.
Yeah, I'll tell you
Yes.
what. If you guys want to
Everything's in
set a
progress.
regular meeting, we do the show every Tuesday at 7. We can give a section of the
Sweet,
show
let's
where
do
you can
it.
talk to each other,
Yeah.
figure out.
I'm
what
always
to
trying
do.
to get
cool.
I'm
Behind
always
the
What's
trying to get
happening with
Phil
Phil and
on.
Gary today? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Perfect.
The plan is no plan.
Excellent.
Well,
I love it.
how much monkey observation did you have to do when you were putting this together?
I study
a
my
lot.
kids all the time.
Yeah.
So that's
She's-
One of your
his-
children
his-
is a chimpanzee dressed as a human.
Yes.
His
Yes,
daughter
I would-
Mackenzie gives Phil a lot of ideas and did the voiceover for Whitney in the video that we made. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
watched the video of the book that we kind of put together.
Nice.
That's
It's a whole
awesome.
family affair. I love it.
Oh yeah.
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 How long is the Kickstarter up for at this point?
Got 25 days to go, so we pretty much just started.
Awesome.
We're-
Nice.
Well, cool. Guys, congratulations. This book is very fun.
Thank you.
I can't wait to show some of it to my kids. I think they're going to love it because they
Sweet.
love monkeys, they love pigs, they
Yeah.
love mysteries.
They
So
love
it's all
time.
good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
And good. I look forward to your next Kickstarter that's set at a cool $2 to $3, and I think you'll make it just like right on. Thanks so much, guys.
All right,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys. The book's
Appreciate it.
super fun.
All right, there we go. Once again, the book is called It's Monkey Time. The guests were Gary Dufner and Phil Avelli. You can go on Kickstarter right now and pledge for it. It is a very fun, very cute book. We are going to move on with our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It's your audience questions. Woo! And audience questions, this is pretty straightforward. All you got to do is drop your question, ask a question over here on Crowdcast. I'd say you do it also on YouTube, except YouTube totally just crapped out on us in the middle of the stream.
I wonder what you were focusing.
Yeah, what I was kind of like looking to the side and back and forth, trying to figure out the stream
You
things.
panic, doing steam ears, and pulling your
Yeah,
collar back. and letting-
doesn't really matter too much to the people listening to this later as a podcast. But yeah, YouTube just gone for the moment. Not our fault, YouTube's fault. But hey, we got this lovely audience here on Crowdcast, so that's all we need.
It's good, exactly. Top notch. But we have a lot of time for questions, so drop a couple questions in.
Yeah.
Why is the YouTube not working? How did you let this happen?
Oh God. We do have a question. I'll open this up over here. We had a question that was dropped on our Patreon Slack. If you want to support that, patreon.com/comic book club. Lots of great discussions going on there. There were big fights about Star Wars going on today in a very nice way. Not
Nice.
the terrible. Not the
Good
terrible
fight.
fights that have been going on online that make me hate Star Wars, but nice fights that are fun to talk about.
100%. And these are real. Like, is it easy to wield a lightsaber? Should it be hard, or can you just pick it up and like zim, get him going?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing I would say about that, if you really want to talk about that, is I think there is some skill involved, same as there is with a sword. You can't just start sort of whipping it around and everything. There's things that are involved, you know?
Whipping around a regular sword is way less dangerous than a lightsaber.
Right. That can cut through anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But my understanding is a lot of the work of having a lightsaber is building it. You got to go get the crystal and then like learn how to that's some pretty heavy duty hardware management.
That's the same thing with swords, though. You got to build your own swords as well. And also forks and knives and spoons.
Yeah, that's why in my home we only have one fork. So soup's a non-starter over here. And I love soup.
That's on
I
your
love
family
soup.
crest, right? Tyler, soup's a non-starter.
Soup's a non-starter. Yeah, but it's written in Latin, so it sounds very
It
official.
sounds very cool. So anyway, this question over here on Patreon, this is from Jake, says, okay, I have a question for you guys, etc., etc. If you guys could have action figures made of yourselves, like what McFarlane did with Alice Cooper and Kiss, what would the theme be, and what would your accessories be?
Great question. Theme? Podcast?
Oh, you wouldn't be
Podcast
medieval
clothes?
Justin or gunslinger Justin?
I was thinking more about the wardrobe. Like, are
Okay.
we in spandex here, or are we wearing like podcast uniforms?
I would love, if we're going to get specifically like McFarlane is going to make it, I'd love him to put me in like Violator costume, like dressed as the clown, like the big clown, the Violator who fights Spawn. That'd be fun.
It's a weird choice of something
First thing
you
that came to mind.
aspire
Top
to be.
of mind.
Top of mind, nice. Yeah, you want to add a Venom tongue. You always want to be like a Todd McFarlane.
Yep.
Really good. You can almost go add a tongue sound effect to Alex, fully Alice Coopering out there.
But that would be great.
You have pretty, just for the not the listener, Alex has big Einstein tongue, sort of like that.
I definitely do.
Einstein
Yeah.
sticking his tongue out. He has definite Einstein tongue.
Yeah, I think the beard helps it too a little bit. Like it's not as fuzzy as Einstein's beard on the poster. I could also, I'm not going to do this for the podcast right now, but I could also do a really good impersonation of blacklight sex positions.
Was that an Einstein? Hold on a second.
No, that's also a popular college poster.
Oh, sure.
You didn't have that at your college? Yeah, it was very stupid.
No, dude. What, you went to a very sexual,
very sexual. Cool. It was Einstein with his tongue out, and then I don't want to say what he was doing with his tongue, but then next to it, you know what I'm talking about.
Great, yeah. The question was, what sort of action figure and what accessories would we have?
Mm-hmm. I definitely have my phone with me, since I have that with me all the time anyway. That would be pretty cool.
You could get up. I know I just scolded you for saying Violator, but I do think you could use your imagination a little bit. You don't have to just sit. You're like, oh,
I'd be a Violator clown.
Well, then I'd have my phone. I'd have my phone.
Hello, it's the Violator here. Is this Spawn? Wait, I can't hear you. I'm in a bad reception area. Spawn, you there?
That's how
Al?
Spawn beats Violator. Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'd have a spoon, obviously, because it's what my most desire in the world as a soupless household over here.
You'd have one of those Marvel Legends things where they'd have to buy the entire line to get a bowl of soup and put it together.
It connects together. It's that, but it's actual like a pretty decent gazpacho. That'd be.
You are hot. You're thinking about cold soups, even.
That's what I'm saying. Everything has to be. I can't think of hot soup right now. I'll tell you what. Even though I love soup, I couldn't even get a hot soup going.
Great question, Jake. This is here from Crowdcast. Kevin says, speaking of the Mandela effect, what's something that you remember seeing in comics that never actually happened? I see what Kevin's doing there. Very cute, Kevin. What's something that you remember seeing in comics that never actually happened?
Oof, I'm such a student of comics. It's hard to think of something I was ever wrong about, but trying to think. You know what? I guess my answer would be, I thought there were way more DC Marvel crossovers. I feel like I remember having Superman meet Spider-Man and Captain America, like maybe that just was my imagination, or the or Marvel versus DC, the JLA Avengers crossover just loomed very large in my mind, or something like that.
Yeah, this is one.
Imagine that a lot.
That I feel like I brought up on the show a couple of times, but it's definitely gotten to the point where I haven't looked back, so I'm not 100% sure. But I do vaguely remember the Star Wars comics from Marvel back in the day doing their whole thing separate from the movies. And then Empire Strikes Back came out, and they adapted Empire Strikes Back, and then they changed the continuity so that they continued it in the Marvel comics. And I thought that was the coolest thing, but I don't know if that's true. I'm not 100% sure. So it's possible that might be a Mandela effect or Mandela effect. Either way.
I think it's Mandela. I also think like the comics we read when we're young, at least for me, like I pored over them. I read them hundreds and hundreds of times. Those first that first year of comics. Also, it was like I wasn't around a comic book store. I was getting them on the spinner rack or randomly at like gas stations and grocery stores. So it was such a big deal to have one. So like I would go through it and use my imagination to like explore all different sides of this comic.
Yeah.
So I made a bunch of stuff.
All right, why don't we move on to another question here? This is from Stray Bullet. We were discussing the problem with Kevin in the Riverdale Slack. Is Kevin a villain? Has he always been? And of course, we're talking about Kevin, who just asked the question here.
Yeah.
And the answer
the
is
Kevin
yes.
in our Slack is a villain. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's haunting us.
But what about the Kevin on Riverdale? Is he a villain? Has he always been a villain? What's your take, Justin?
I don't think he's always been a villain. I feel like because we were getting sort of called out a bit because on our Riverdale After Dark podcast, we're always so surprised by Kevin and we want Kevin to do more. But wow.
Excuse me a moment. Keep talking. I may have just splashed stuff all over my laptop.
Wow. Cool. You did. I saw it spray onto the screen. Great. Alex is in absolute free fall emotionally right now. But the comments in the Slack were like he's never been nice to his friends. He's always sort of causing problems for them. Or
I agree completely with everything.
Oh, I was just talking about how I very much saw the liquid spray at your camera, and the look of wide-eyed panic on your face was.
I was just shocked that you would say those things about Kevin Keller, such a wonderful character who has never done a bad thing in his life.
But my point is that in the show is sort of keeps telling us that Kevin is a major character, and then it either sidelines Kevin or it makes him go become a straight-up villain. Which light spoiler for what's happening in the current season of Riverdale. He's sort of not doing good things right now, and I want to say I won't get fooled again, but I think the show really wants Kevin to be happy, and it's just strange that it can never really work out.
Yeah, to the point you're saying, and I think you and I are on the same page about this. He's supposed to be a main character, and he's not. Like, of all the main characters, he has easily had the least development. He is the least involved in everything. Even when he's there, what he does really doesn't affect the action very much. It just feels like as a character, they've never known what to do with him. And they've had that problem with other characters as well. Josie, as great as she was, always felt side on the show. Tony, for a while, was definitely side on the show, even though she was supposed to be a main character, up until like people got super pissed about it around the explosion of the Black Lives Matter movement, and that became a big discussion, and they made a significant pivot with her. But yeah, they've always had a problem balancing characters, and I think it's particularly glaring with Kevin right now because this season has done a much better job of trying to figure out how to balance everybody and how to have everybody be working and doing stuff most of the time at the same time, except for Kevin, who's just kind of there doing his thing. And maybe Alice as well, who is definitely pushed to the side this season too. But there you go.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we move on? We got another one here. This is from Nat Townsend. Seems like there's a lot of Star Wars these days. I don't care about this, Star Wars deeply enough to watch something just because it's Star Wars, but I love The Mandalorian. Which Star Wars should I be watching, and which Star Wars is just for Star Wars fans? Great question. First of all, I would say there's not actually enough Star Wars to be like, whew, too much Star Wars for me to choose from time-wise. It's more like there's a lot of Star Wars across media, but there's kind of like one Star Wars at a time. So either watch it or don't, I think, right?
I think both the question and your answer are like mind cages that you're trying to trap me in. Are you trying to get me? Is this a gotcha question?
No, I mean, there's definitely some sort of gotcha question. That's definitely trapping us. That's
the question and the answer are both like, well, the Star Wars is occurring whether you Star Wars it or not. So it's the Star Wars that you want to see is the Star Wars that you make in your Star Wars.
Yes.
Is that appropriate?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that
if I can get after the spirit of the question, I think I think we all want Star Wars to be a little bit weirder. like even the hardcore fans, as much as they're like mad about changes to Star Wars, we can't keep telling the same exact story over and over again, because I think the things that most fans are actually frustrated about are retreading the same ground and making slight changes to stuff that already happened. When if the whole thing went off into a whole new direction, I think we could all then find the parts of Star Wars that we like there. And perhaps this is in reference to the more recent Obi-Wan Kenobi that just came out, and how that is sort of a little bit different. It's the same character that we've always known, but now he's in a different place. The sort of genre of the show is a little bit different. But to me, at least, even though it's the same character and we're dealing with characters that we know already, at least large parts of this show are different. So we can enjoy that and hopefully not get too angry at the stuff where it's like, that sort of contradicts something that shouldn't be happening, or, it has prequelitis a little bit.
Well, to that point, I think that was one of the big problems with Boba Fett, is it seemed almost exactly like The Mandalorian, but much less so. And The Mandalorian felt fresh, one, because it was the first live action TV series, at least on Disney Plus, at least in forever. And visually, it just felt very exciting because it kept shaking it up every single episode. So it felt like something new. It felt like something different. Book of Boba Fett, direct spin-off of that. And it didn't feel as impressive. I know some people enjoyed it, and I know some people disagree, but I think that seems to be the majority opinion, is that it just was not successful. We're judging Obi-Wan on 2 episodes, but right now, having one director, having just Deborah Chow on it, does feel like it gives it more preciseness and direction, and it feels like something different than The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, even though she was a director on The Mandalorian. I don't think she directed an episode of Book of Boba Fett. So that's something that I don't think you have to watch it unless you're super stoked about Star Wars and super excited about the direction that things are going. But it definitely feels very different. Certainly I was burnt by Book of Boba Fett, and I was like, oh, I don't know about the Star Wars stuff anymore. This is too much. And then
but hold on a second though. Like, to say like, this is too much Star Wars, I'm like, I call bullshit on anybody saying that, because almost everyone would say is like, I do want more Star Wars. You just want it to be good, or want it to be like something that's a little bit different. Like,
sure.
So that's the thing of it. Like, everyone's like critical energy is just all over the map, attacking Star Wars from all directions. And I think we should choose a couple of careful directions, because I think that's what we actually want. We can ask for the things.
To be fair, I haven't completely followed it other than the first couple of things at the beginning, but what they're doing with Star Wars The High Republic, I think, is giving exactly what you're talking about, where they're going, what is it, a couple of 100 years before the main continuity, following a different storyline. They have a pretty tight writing group that's doing it across novels and comic books, and I think games as well. Maybe there's a couple of other things. There's certainly all ages comic books, as well as more teen, adult-friendly comic books as well. So there's a lot of different things there, and they're telling it with new characters in a new situation with a new enemy. But, even as somebody who has been a Star Wars fan literally their entire life, it's
You're
still
probably wearing a Star Wars t-shirt right now. I knew it. I knew it. He is.
To be fair, I'm also wearing a Star Trek hat, so I got it all. I got all of literally everything. Star Trek, Star Wars. There's literally nothing else. I think that. I guess my point is that like the live action still feels like that's the number one thing. I know I often rail against that, particularly when people talk about that in relation to animation, but I do think that's true with Star Wars. It started with the movies and continued with the movies for decades. So that still feels like the primo thing. So we're not getting that yet. I think we might get there. I don't know if Andor is going to get us there. That's the next show. That's spinning off of Rogue One.
I want to say like Andor feels like it is doing a lot of what I'm saying, where it feels like, even though it's like a prequel to an adjacent prequel. Yes. It's like a double prequel, but at least based on the trailer, and it's just a trailer, that it feels like it's carving out a world. It's showing us a place. We got to observe these people. It felt like some real rebellion energy, something I feel like hasn't been captured from the original trilogy in anything. Rogue One, you could say, had that, but even that was like it was like a suicide. We knew they weren't going to make it out, so it had that darkness over it. This, because it's so far adjacent, I think there'll be wins in there. We know it's not going to end in 100% death in this. And the rebellion does develop over the course of the timeline that I think we're going to be playing with in Andor. So that feels like it's something that maybe we can all rally behind, everyone who has completed.
Maybe. I was definitely turned off by the fact that there's going to be 24 episodes of it. That feels like that's a lot of episodes. There's a lot of episodes.
They're all good. They're all good. It's great.
If they're all good, they're good. It doesn't matter. I'm just being hypercritical in advance. That's fine. But something like, we talked about this before, I think in Week and Geek, the Acolyte, which is the thing that's set 1,000 years before and focuses on the Sith, that gets to something where I'm like, great, I want to see what that is. What is Leslie Headland going to do with Star Wars and a story about that? That'll be weird. That'll be interesting. Let them fly. Let them tell different things. I think we've been saying the same things with the Marvel shows as well. It's like those succeed the weirder and the more interesting and the more off of the MCU feel that they get. The ones that are like, here's another MCU movie, but broken into 6 parts, is not quite as successful. So I don't know if they'll get there because these are franchises. They're huge franchises. They want to play it safe. It's Disney, which is not a company known for risks, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Straight Bullet wants to know how long each episode of Andor is. They're all 3 hours long. It's 3 hour long, 24 episodes. No, we don't know. I assume it's like 45-minute, hour-long episodes, but we'll see.
They're 24-hour episodes shot in real time. So we just follow Andor as he, lives.
Yeah, there's a lot of sleeping. A lot of
sleeping. Which, that's the part of the Star Wars world we haven't even seen. Yeah.
At least I was hearing a rumor that at least 8 episodes, he's very depressed, so he sleeps even more in those episodes.
What a cliffhanger. Maybe that's the end of the season.
Yeah. All right. We got one more here. Are you guys fans of the original Top Gun, and do you plan on seeing Maverick? Just saw it, and it was awesome, especially in a theater. Justin, have you seen Top Gun Maverick?
I've not. As I've made much noise about, I have been solo parenting for 3 weeks, and I have 3 weeks more of solo parenting. So I won't be able to go to the movies.
So you're not going to your daughters and be like, hey, kids, do you feel the need for speed?
I mean, we're watching the original Top Gun as a fan.
Oh, okay. All right, great.
And when...
they have to learn about tongue kissing at some point. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. They're like, is that how you met mommy? And I'm like, well... yes, basically.
Some thing. Slight tweaks.
I was a hotshot improv comedian, and I asked permission to buzz the audience a lot.
Yeah. And I didn't have a friend named Iceman, but I did read about Iceman a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And in a way, I'm sort of friends with Iceman from the X-Men.
Yeah, and sometimes I'd feed a goose at the pond.
Yeah, that's true. It's tragic end to that goose as well.
I do really want to see that. I've heard it's great, but I did not make it out to the theater.
I am planning a big movie marathon for when my wife gets back from her show. I'm going to watch Top Gun Maverick. I still haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. And there is one other movie that I'm very excited to see. And I'm sort of psyched to see the Jurassic Park movie in the theater.
All right.
I know that's sort of like an unpopular opinion.
No, that's fine. It's going to be a huge movie. Clearly, lots of people like it. So
no, but don't. You're shaming me. You're shaming me. Like
that's really sweet that you want to see that in theaters.
Exactly. Don't condescend because I want to go see some big popcorn movie. But I am excited about that movie because they're bringing everybody back. They're bringing all your dinosaurs back. Oh, it's
great. I can't wait. Is Chris Pratt going to be able to find Blue, my favorite raptor from the Jurassic World movies?
Okay, I understand the negativity about that part.
There's a line in the trailer where I think it's Sam Neill is like, you're trying to find a dinosaur? And that's my reaction too.
Yeah.
Like, I identify with Sam Neill in this trailer, but also like, why are we doing this? You're all going to die for one stupid dinosaur? Who cares?
Maybe the whole movie's about all the crotchety old characters being like, let's just kill him. Maybe that's the whole fun.
It ends with a big dinosaur roast.
Dinosaur steaks for all. No, I just like the hopefully. I mean, the most recent Jurassic Parks haven't been great, but they've been fun. This one has the widest opportunity for spectacle, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. The Jurassic era ends here. It's basically Jurassic World Endgame, so very exciting.
Yeah. Then we
Last
move on
but
to Cretaceous Center, the Cretaceous Auditorium.
Last but not least, we got another question here from Kevin. In terms of comic book club, whom or what does the monkey represent?
Interesting.
I'm not quite sure I get that question.
The question of it's monkey time? Like
Yes.
who's the
Who's the monkey on the podcast?
Who's the monkey? This is a question from Kevin.
Yep. I'm going to say Kevin in this case.
I mean, I feel like you don't want to say exactly who it is, but if everyone's pointing fingers at the monkey and you're not, you're the monkey.
There you go. And now it is time for trivia. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Justin.
Yeah. Sure. It's time for trivia. No, we have to get a person to do trivia.
Okay. I'll vab for a minute. We'll see what happens. We need to get somebody to volunteer here, somebody to raise their hand, say me, and you are going to get a $25 gift card to Midtown Comics to spend on comics because, hey, that's what you do anyway, right? You go to Midtown Comics, you spend money on comics, possibly stop off on the corner, get crack from your friend. It's Times Square. Giuliani cleans it up a little bit, but, Adams not doing a great job. Not going to do a great job, I'm just saying. Giuliani, good mayor. America's mayor, man. He was America's mayor. And it's never been downhill from there.
You said you were going to vamp for a second, and you really slipped off the edge. I think you maybe spilled your drink on your brain.
Went back in podcasting school when we talked about vamping. I don't know. Somebody raise their hand, please. Come in so you can do trivia. Somebody. You're going to get $25. Otherwise, I'm going to keep talking about Rudy Giuliani and how great he is.
Everyone's least favorite.
Has he ever done anything bad, though? That's what I'm wondering. Rudy Giuliani.
Shut up. Nat, put on a shirt and raise your hand and you can come into the stream.
Yeah. Should I just invite Nat?
He said his last comment was, "I'm logging off because of your."
Okay. Yeah, he says 1 sec.
He's got to put his mitts in the pot and boil his baseball up.
Absolutely. In the meantime, what are your thoughts on Rudy Giuliani? What do you think about it?
Honestly, I called it. I knew he was under the mask at the Masked Singer.
Wow!
You could just hear him.
Yeah. You won a lot of money, huh? Oh,
Rudy
that's
Giuliani
ready to come in. I guess we have to stop talking about this.
He's going to be in a Rudy Giuliani mask. Good full cosplay. Michael Tillman, spoiler alert for The Masked Singer. Yeah, no, I mean, that was a pretty big story in which the show, Ken Jeong literally walked off because it was offensive that we would invite this seditionist back into...
Hey, we got a little bit of an... Oh, no, do I have an echo?
Yeah.
Oh. Throw some headphones on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Hey,
those are a throwback.
There we go. Nat, thanks so much for coming on he's gone. And he's back. Hey, Nat, how are you doing?
There he is.
Oh, and he's gone.
There he goes.
This is fun. This is good times. Do you know who I blame for this? Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, well, you said it. You
I've turned
alerted him.
I turned against him. I'm sorry.
Wait. You've now turned against him.
Yes, I've now turned against him now that Nat can't come into the stream. I don't know. Should we just give Nat $25? How about that?
No, I just wrote this trivia over the course of the
Nat's
last
gone. Like, he's not even here
minutes.
anymore. Oh, wait. Brett put his hand up. Here, we'll welcome Brett in. There we go.
Wow, Nat's out? Oh, Nat, bummer. You blew it, dude.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey,
there he is.
Hi, how you doing, Brett?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks for coming in. You are going to play for a $25 gift card at Midtown Comics. Justin?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And is this Brett Macris or Brett Ratchris underneath the hat? Just to get...
I don't know how I feel about that, but it's good. No, Rat Chris is fun.
Good, huge fan. Let's see if we can win you back with a little bit of trivia. This is multiple choice, and the trivia, as always, is on topical comic news. And listen close, because the last answer in each question is meaningless. Just listen closely to that.
Okay. I'll figure
Question
it.
number 1. Which head of Marvel recently stepped down? Is it Thanos, Joe Quesada, or Paste Pot Pete LePage? This is new. This is topical.
Joe
This is very
Quesada.
topical. Joe Quesada. That is correct. B is the correct answer. Joe Quesada stepped down today for who they probably just retired. Question number 2. In the upcoming Batman Incorporated, what is Maker, the new CEO, going to be doing? Is it A, recalling a bunch of Batarangs because they don't come back? And why would you name them Batarang if they didn't come back?
Right.
Right. Is it B, buying Twitter and then not buying Twitter and then buying Twitter and then not buying Twitter and then buying Twitter and then not buying Twitter?
I mean, he's
Or is
rich enough. He could probably afford it.
That's what I'm talking about. Or is it C, probably fighting people?
Probably fighting a lot of people.
That is correct. It is C,
Yes.
fighting
Yeah.
people in an
A
international
rare
stage.
C answer here on trivia.
Yeah.
Rare C, never happens. But that's the signature Pete LePage move has got to be different. Now, question number 3: which of these weird people is writing their own graphic novel from Z2 Comics? Is it A, Weird Al? Is it B, Even Weirder Al? C, Weirdest Al? Or D, Regular Al?
What the fuck? D? There's a D now?
You
Okay.
got a D. That D's the next letter.
Okay.
After C. Wow. Brett, you seem actually offended. The format is broken because a D answer shot it.
There's never a D. Yeah. Great.
Time's
A?
changed.
Did you
A's
say?
correct. It is.
Yeah,
it is
there we
Weird
go.
Al.
I guessed for you. All
You
right.
guessed for me.
Now, as we all know, the third answers point up to nothing.
Yeah.
Can you guess what movie Justin is thinking of?
Rudy Giuliani.
That is correct.
Wow. Amazing. Brett, you
just
have
kicked off
125.
the secret Rudy Giuliani quiz that Alex has been hiding for several years.
No, you
man.
guys could give it to the charity last week. The
That's
Oh, yeah, Every Town?
yes, absolutely.
All right. You got it, man. We will donate to Every Town for gun control. Brett, have a great night.
Sure. Cheers. Good night,
Thanks for
fellas.
popping in, Brett.
Right, great
to see you.
cocktail.
Great cocktail.
All right, there we go. And if you'd like to participate in trivia, which is usually a little more normal than that, we got a form
Nothing
that
wrong
I
with
will
that.
drop.
It was fine trivia. And Nat says, bring me back into this stream.
Oh, wait. It's too late, though. Should we bring that back in anyway?
No, he wasn't listening to the trivia. I could just do it again.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Bring him back in.
Definitely not going to do trivia again, but let's see what Nat has to say. Let's go. This
Let's
is our
see what-
roving reporter, Nat.
Let's see what's going on in New York City. Maybe he can tell us what's happening. What's the what? He's not.
Yeah,
going
he's our man in the street in New York.
Hey guys, I'm here on the scene in New York City. Coming up.
Hey, Nat, what's going on the street right now? What's going
People
on
are
the street?
despondent on the streets of Brooklyn about the departure of Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Joe Quesada.
Wow. By the way, great shirt. Great
Thanks.
Bart
I
Simpson
thought I
shirt.
had
What
my
is-
front-facing camera on when I heard Justin say Nat has to put his shirt on before he joins.
Because you weren't wearing a
Because
shirt.
I was shirtless. He was right. So,
I knew it. See, I got you.
We got some demographic information, and 90% of the people who listen to this podcast watch it or listen to it without a shirt on. So there you go. You're in the
yeah, there's
majority.
a real filtering process you have to go through for trivia.
Oh, very.
We dropped the first 14 people who wanted to do trivia today due to inappropriate, nipple
Absolutely.
location.
This is a family show, man. This is a family show. Whether we're talking about It's Monkey Time or doing trivia with no shirts on,
Yeah.
Or just being
Same deal.
completely emotionally sidetracked by the existence of a fourth option in a trivia question.
Really.
Either
I've
way.
never rattled anyone's cage as much as Brett was rattled by that.
You know,
Yeah.
you think you have one consistent thing in your life, and it's the trivia section of your weekly live streaming comic book club podcast. But
Despite the
seems
fact
like
that
nothing sacred these days, and
No.
that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's it.
I put my fingers to my
Matt,
ear.
thanks so much. Thanks so much for being on the street. Love you.
Thank you, Alex, Justin. Rest in peace, Pete.
Nice.
Rest in pizzas.
Rest in pizzas. Rest in pizzas. As Pete said, he wanted to be buried like a calzone. Just have the sides of the pizza folded up.
Now, as we all know, comic books are great and we love them and they keep coming out. Justin, what are you looking forward to that's coming out this week?
This was a great week for comics, I found. I mean, every week is exciting, but there was a lot to love in this specific week. The Action Comics annual that came out is so I literally cried reading.
Wow.
And it's a great sort of two-handers type story where it's jumping back and forth between a Superman story and sort of a War World set Mongol type story. And I thought that came out today, so you can check it out now. And I really, really enjoyed that.
I'm going to give a shout out to The Closet, #1 from Image Comics by James Tynion IV, art by Gavin Fullerton. I just got to this and I was like, ooh, new horror comic book from James Tynion. Sounds great. I'm sold. Every book from him is so interesting and so different. So this should be an exciting one to check out. And both of those books are going to be in our Stack podcast that posts Wednesday, 9 a.m., both in the Comic Book Club feed and in its own dedicated Stack feed. And folks, that is it for this week's show.
Yeah.
A couple of people we want to thank. We want to thank Gary Dufner and Phil Avelli for being here to talk about It's Monkey Time. Go check that out on Kickstarter right now. Next week on the show, we're going to have a big one. Our guests are going to be Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino to talk about The Passageway, the kickoff to the new horror universe from Image Comics. So that should be awesome, and I'm sure we'll talk about a bunch of their other books as well. A couple of other podcasts from us to check out. The Doom Room, our Doom Patrol podcast. All 34 episodes are available to Patreon members now, or you can check it out weekly in its own dedicated feed. Riverdale After Dark, Riverdale podcast, posting after the show airs on Sundays. Marvel Vision, our Marvel podcast. We'll be back with Miss Marvel pretty soon. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club to support this show and all the shows we do. You can subscribe on Apple, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice. At Comic Book Live on Twitter, Comic Book Club Live on Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, good night.
Good night, folks. Lots of new podcasts coming your way from us. Later.